Hey, good afternoon. My name is Robert Alsip. I'm the outgoing president of the Irving Las Colinas Rotary Club. I'd like to invite you to join me for lunch this Thursday as our club meets at noon to 1 p.m. at the Las Colinas Country Club. Have an exciting program. Look forward to having you be there, learn more about Rotary, and allow us as a club to learn more about you. Thank you. We'll see you at Rotary.
Caring God, we thank you for this beautiful day that you've given to us, for the breath that you've put into our lungs. And we ask that we would use that breath responsibly, that you would help us to be your servants, that you would help us be people who are caring toward the people of this community, that we would make the world around us better using the gifts that you have given to each and every one of us. We pray these things in your holy name. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we're going to enjoy the national anthem.
By the dawn's early light, what surrounding we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, through sunshine and bright stars, through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streamed. Good breath, and the rockets red glare of first gave proof to the night that our flag was still restored. Oh, save us as stars spangled banner yet wave, for the land of the free and the home of the brave. Have a seat, please.
Well, spread the camera here.
Oh,
Right here. Right in front of you.
Now we're going to have
Right in
Tracy
front of you.
introduce our guest. Tracy, when you speak loud, you can stand back there or come forward.
All right, so we have with us Jasmine, BJ, Bella, and we also have Donna Ward.
As I understand, I'm expecting members, so yay. Thank you. I decided it would be a great opportunity each week, since we're all here voluntarily, we're all here to contribute. None of us, I think, are being paid to show up. We do it because we're passionate about making a larger difference, correct? So to make it a win-win, I thought we would highlight one member each week and give this member the opportunity to brag and also share why he or she is passionate about International Rotary. And so today I'm trying to highlight all of our new leaders that are coming on board with me. And so today we're going to let Shane brag about whatever. And I might say Mr. Shane Webb, is he still here? There he is. I didn't want this up. He is the president-elect, so yay.
Thank you, Madam President. If you guys haven't learned already, it's dangerous to give me a microphone and some time. So I'm ready for a 45-minute sermon, so hang on.
Don't let me sing.
Yeah, I'm gonna sing for Richard because he loves my voice. Friends, you know, my Rotary adventure, if I can speak, Good thing my wife is a speech therapist. She can help me with that later. My Rotary adventure has been a colorful one, but it's been one that I have thoroughly enjoyed. I came to Rotary initially just appreciative that when I was in college, they gave me a scholarship to continue my studies. And that was kind of my first real introduction. And then I got some other ones along the way because of mentors that I have in my life. But I wound up in East Texas, and I was suffering from culture shock. And I remembered that I had this roommate in college, and he'd get up at the crack of dawn at 6 in the morning and go to a Rotary Club meeting. And I thought, that's the lamest thing you could do is, you know, what an old man this guy is. He's in college and he wakes up early to drive across town to go to Rotary to meet with these folks. And I thought, why in the world would he do that? Well, now I understand why. I joined a Rotary Club in Mount Pleasant, Texas. And, you know, I was trying to figure out the culture of Mount Pleasant and, you know, who does what and which way is north and south and east and west, because that's how I like to give directions, and I'm directionally challenged. And I didn't have friends. And so, you know, Rotary was a godsend. I went there, met some really great people. We had a healthy club that was very involved in the community and got me connected to service opportunities, helped me meet people that made my life easier that worked in the city and the school districts. So it was a real blessing to join and be a part of that club. So I was thankful to be there and do that. And so that is why I get excited about Rotary. It's not always the most exciting thing, but what we're trying to accomplish together makes a huge impact and has the power and potential to change lives in the community around us. And that is worth doing. And that, when I wake up in the morning, gets me excited and motivated and want to continue my Rotary adventure and even do crazy things like become the president. Yeah, I mean, why in the world? But I love this group. You know, has almost been 2 years now, and I've enjoyed being a part of this group and getting to know y'all better. And I hope that continues. If you need something, if I can help, I will. I go to that church just down the street. I hope you guys have seen our new sign and maybe seen some of the crazy things I've been putting on it, like pray naked. If you haven't seen it, you're not paying attention. So Woodhaven Presbyterian Church is the church that I serve. And it's a good group of folks, and we're trying to do what Rotary does, and that is better serve our community through service and outreach. So that's all I'm going to say for now. Is that sufficient, Madam President?
Next, we're going to have the leader with membership. Tara's going to share a couple of highlights and try to help everyone get energized about bringing the new prospective member. That is our #1 goal, to increase membership by 20%.
Do it. Thank you, Madam President. And yes, we are here today having lunch and enjoying the company of each other and learning about each other. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that would love to join us as well. A lot of the times, you know, coming to the Rotary Club at the Las Colinas Country Club might seem that a little intimidating to some people. So in order to get over that, I think we need to, as the members of this organization, get out there to the context that we already have. And I'm going to be passing out a paper here which gives you a couple ideas on who would be a good prospect to invite to the Rotary Lunch. Again, a lot of times, especially right now with the pandemic and things opening up, a lot of people stop going and attending a lot of outdoor events and events that are of this type. So this is an opportunity to get everybody engaged again with the Irving Las Colinas Rotary Club. And the only way that they're gonna find out is if we tell them, right? Jordan does a really good job on social media about spreading the word.
a couple of weeks ago, he asked as well for everybody to do a video about why to join Rotary. So those are helping, but also we can do a part 2 and help Jordan with the message, right, by us talking to people. So again, let's make it a goal to invite somebody every time. I think on our meeting, we discussed having a dedicated time of the month. Yes, and so we're gonna be doing social hours too as well. I think later on, we're gonna be discussing what that's gonna look like. But also once a month, let's make it let's invite a member, all right? I'm sorry, let's invite a visitor to come with us once a month. And then we take the opportunity to, highlight different things in that. And I think if we all work together and spread the word, inviting 1 or 2 people, I mean, there's like about 40 of us here right now. If we all just invite somebody, we double our membership. So it's that simple. So I'm gonna pass this out, and again, let me know if you guys have any questions on things that we can do for your guests that you bring to enhance and encourage them to sign up as well to the other. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. Director or leader of our membership goal, and so he's a tremendous asset, and he would be very grateful for any creative ideas you share with him, and try to bring those to the board meeting, and we will endeavor to support everyone's creativity and ideas. Quickly, I'm going to just introduce everyone that's here that's going to support and help me with the leadership. So you've already met Mr. Shane Webb. He is our president-elect. Lazaro Alvarez is our president nominee. If you'll stand and when I call your name, and we'll just move through this and let everyone kind of get on board with someone and help with these committees. Our new secretary, Tracy Love. Yay, Tracy. Thank you. Being the secretary. Treasurer, Mr. Harris isn't with us. Unfortunately, he had another engagement. And then as we just mentioned, Lazaro is the membership director. In charge of programs is Ron Manning. Ron, thank you. Community service, Mr. Richard Raymond. And our youth service program is Val Bozak.
Yeah, man.
International service is Mr. Don Jensen. He's not here with us, I don't believe, unless he's not in. Club service, Dr. Parrott. Vocational service, Ms. Chris Thompson. Of course, our tremendous asset that's always on time with our bulletin and communication. Our guest is not with us, but she's online. Thank you. We appreciate that tremendous service. And of course, social media, we have the shining star, Jordan. Jordan also, thank you. Of course, we cannot and would not forget our past president, Mr. Robert also. The flag program, our forever leader, Rick Lindsay. Unfortunately, he had an engagement getting ready for a procedure, so he was unable to join us. But I encourage everyone to hold Rick up in your prayers tomorrow, that everything will be better than expected. So at this time, we're going to move forward and let, I think, Bill, you've been nominated just to give us a quick update with the flag program, and that is one of our largest initiatives and fundraisers. Thank you, Bill.
So I'm channeling Kathy Howard, and Shane, John Calvin is spinning in his grave right now. Right. Done decently and in order. Right. So we had 1,500 and trying to read your handwriting, 1,526 flags that are paid, 677 pending. That's probably not going to happen this year. But we brought in $68,164 in the flag program. Wow. So that's 80 Hubbard and I are going to be disassembling flags on Saturday. I've got a group to help to work to to do that, you can have too many people there, but when we disassemble this time, we're also gonna have people put the stickers on and, put the corks in them. Robert said he's been told all his life to put a cork in it. This time he gets to do that. So when we get that done, then we'll schedule on a reasonably cool, have such a thing in July and August, Saturday morning to build those flags back. Okay, so we'll be ready for Labor Day. All right, that's it.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
And I must also mention that my neighbor is very involved. Bob Bourgeois, you're very involved with the flag program and greatly appreciate it. Thank you. They always go forward. Okay, this time we're gonna introduce the guest speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President. Ryan Manning, Director of Programs, excited to talk to you today. So by show of hands, has anybody in here had to accomplish a project? Okay, awesome. So we've all been through that, right? There's some turmoil, there's some things that happen when you accomplish a project, right? So now I want you to apply all that you experienced in doing that project, and now apply the complexities of a Fortune 500 company, multi-millions of dollars, dozens of people of different skill sets. Now you know what it's like to run project management, right? Which is an increasingly important skill set across many organizations. So our guest speaker today is going to give us some insight on that. So Dr. Blair Stephenson has got multiple skins on the wall. 3 of those degrees have come from the University of Oklahoma, PhD, MBA, MPA, and then his Bachelor's of Science from the U.S. Air Force Academy. What's great about our speaker today is he's bringing real world experience from not only as a former member of Rotary here with us, but also with Pioneer Natural Resources, and now teaches at Amberton University. So put your hands together and welcome our speaker today, Mr. Blair Stephenson.
Thank you, Elaine. I was going to say it's good to be back, but of course, you're one heckler in every group. Good to see a lot of familiar faces. Had the honor and privilege of being a member of this club for a number of years. Learned one thing: never get started with perfect attendance, because once you get started, then you're committed from there on for eternity. So just word of advice. Glad to be back. Want to explain a little bit about my journey. My parents are still hoping that I find steady work sometime in my life, either before I die or they die. Not working out too well. I spent 8 years a little over 8 years at Pioneer Natural Resources, and it was really a great experience. I worked as a project manager there, and we handled a lot of different projects across the board. If you're not familiar, Pioneer Natural Resources is one of the largest leaseholders of oil and gas leases in the Permian Basin, and so tremendous company to work for. I retired in 2019. That lasted 8 months, and I had been teaching as an adjunct and as a dedicated faculty member at Amberton University for a number of years. And so in early 2020, the president of the university asked me if I would be willing to step in as the academic dean. And when I picked myself up off the floor from laughing, I said, "You do understand that I have a PhD, but I'm about as far from being academic as you can possibly get." And she said, "That's exactly why I want you in the position." So in June last year, I took over as academic dean of Amberton University. And it's been a wild ride. The transition from the business world to academia has been a hoot. Sometime I'll explain it to you, but what I wanted to do is kind of give you an intro to Amberton. And so, Jordan, if you can cue up the video, that'd be great. right-hand corner.
I chose Amberton because I was a non-traditional student.
I was a stay-at-home mom.
And I wanted an affordable adult-centered program, which was just right for me.
And I like the fact that the demographic of students were folks that were my age.
Most people that go to Amberton are having to juggle and balance our lives.
But the professors made it work well, they made the environment fun.
The professors and the staff at Amberton are so supportive.
They worked with our schedules. We had materials available. We knew what was expected of us.
I feel like they made it workable,
Balancing work and school is challenging for anyone.
but I know that it can be done because I did it. If I did it, anybody can do it.
When someone makes you feel good and you feel like that entire system is invested in you, you want to do it.
So get started today. Earn your bachelor's or master's degree from Amberton University. Apply now for free.
Great, well, that hopefully give you a little bit of a snapshot of what some of our students have to say about Amberton. It's probably one of the best kept secrets in the Dallas-Fort Worth area in terms of universities. If you go ahead and transition to the second slide. There you go. Actually, Amberton is celebrating its 50th anniversary this year. The initial university was actually an extension for Abilene Christian, and they established it here in the Metroplex in 1971. Initially, the campus was in Mesquite. In 74, they moved it to Garland. So our building is at the corner of LBJ and Northwest Highway, kind of on the east side there. And then we have an auxiliary campus up in Frisco near Stonebriar, just north of where the Rough Riders Stadium is. In 1981, we made the transition from Abilene Christian to being an independent university. And initially it was called Amber University. And then in 2001, the name was changed to Amberton. And so we have been under that designation ever since. So like I said, it's kind of a well-kept secret. I'll give you kind of a quick overview of what Amberton looks like in terms of kind of our mission and our primary direction. And then I want to spend just a couple of minutes talking about some of the challenges that exist in the world of higher education. Dr. Parra will, I hope, kind of back me up on some of the things that I would communicate to you. At the end, I'll be happy to try to answer any question that you might have. One of the prerequisites for getting a PhD is you can answer any question, you can tap dance. You know, it's piled higher and deeper, and I have the biggest heel taps I can get today. But the mission of Amberton is really focused on the working adult student. So our average age is someplace between 30 and 40 years old. We actually had a graduate a couple of years ago that was 86, and she received an absolute standing ovation when she went across the stage. So we see everything from early 20s all the way through. A lot of our students are in the process of trying to change careers, or they're in the process of trying to grow in their career, qualify for promotion, move into a different type of career path. And so that's why we're really designed from actually from the get-go to cater to the working adult student. We do maintain a philosophy as far as a Christian commitment. We're non-denominational, even though the roots were originally from Abilene Christian. And so that's a very clear commitment that's made by the faculty and the staff in terms of our behavior and our ethics in how we are delivering educational services. Amberton has been really an innovative institution from the get-go. We were actually one of the very early pioneers in delivering undergraduate and graduate level education online. So, like I said, we were one of the early ones in that space, but of course, this last year, that space got a whole lot more crowded because as of March or April last year, when everything shut down for the pandemic, we took everything online. For Amberton, it was not a big struggle to do that. since most of our professors were already very acclimated to delivering online classes. There are other universities that really had a hard time making that transition. But for us, it was relatively easy. We have about 70% of our classes that are delivered online anyway, and we will return to both a mix of online classes as well as lecture classes this fall. So we've been 100% online since spring of last year. A lot of the students, particularly in the software disciplines, are telling us and really ready to get back in the classroom. One of our largest programs are counseling programs. And in that discipline, you really need the face-to-face interaction. And so we're looking forward to that, obviously with some trepidation, given the situation that we got with COVID-19. Amberton offers 8 undergraduate degrees, primarily targeted at the upper level undergraduates. So we typically don't get freshman and sophomore level students coming in. Most of our students coming in the undergraduate programs are junior or senior level students. So they're typically not your 18-year-old that's coming right out of high school into Amberton. Our major focus, of course, are graduate degrees. We offer 17 graduate programs. Our enrollment runs about 1,000 to 1,100 or 1,200 per session. We offer 4 sessions per year. Each session is 10 weeks long. So that keeps everybody kind of hopping, if you will, in terms of trying to make sure that we get the classes ready, we get the schedules ready, and get everybody on board for the next session. About 78% of our students are graduate students. Like I said, about 70% of the courses are online. Our largest program are 3 different types of counseling degrees. The licensed professional counsel, there's 60 credit hours. So the biggest one is the licensed professional counselor, and marriage and family therapy, and the school counselors. So that's the largest program we have at Amberton. We have major programs, of course, in business, management, project management, and one of the newest ones that we are very proud of is we're offering a Master of Science degree in enterprise analytics. If you're kind of tuning in what's going on in the business world, analytics is one of the key fields that we hear a lot of demand for. I want to briefly touch on some what I would see, and like I said, Dr. Carr can chime in. Some of the most critical challenges that we see in the field of higher education right now is that there is a interesting but declining perception of value of higher education. If you, as an example, think back 10 years, 15 years, a person that had an MBA in the business world was highly valued. If you had that credential on your resume, then you typically would compete very effectively for positions in business arena. If you look at what's going on now today, and I don't mean to demean that degree or be proud about it, but it's almost as if an MBA is a dime a dozen. It's like everybody has an MBA. And so it doesn't have the competitive appeal and the value that was perceived before. The interesting thing is that this decline in perception of value is true from the undergraduate level through the graduate level. So it is kind of a broad-based. Community colleges are seeing declines in enrollment. Traditional four-year universities are seeing declines. Graduate schools are seeing declines. And it's that perception of value. And we'll talk a little bit about the flip side of that, which is, of course, the opportunity. The other thing that I ran across this a week or so ago, the burden of student debt across the United States is second only to the burden of mortgage debt. And I went back and read that and tried to verify that. But it's interesting that debt load on people across the population is second only to the amount of debt load carried by people with mortgages. And so that's been a really horrendous thing for people to try to deal with on into their 30s and 40s, and sometimes beyond that, trying to pay off that debt. There's a lot of discussion, of course, in the political arena about forgiving that debt. I'm not going to get into which side of that field I want to be on. But the fact remains that's one of the factors that is causing this decline in interest. Because if I want to incur this amount of debt, then on the flip side, I need to have something of high value to counterbalance that and make it worthwhile. And a lot of people are saying, I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to put myself or my family in that kind of a debt situation. The third area that's a real challenge is trying to provide a broad-based access to higher education. And that's why you're hearing a lot of discussion about, do we want to actually make community colleges the first 2 years for the associate's degree? Do we want to provide that free tuition? So not only free tuition from kindergarten through 12th grade, senior, but we extend that on for the next 2 years in community colleges. How that's going to work, I'm not sure. It certainly has a lot of attraction in terms of when you hear discussions in both the field of higher education as well as when you hear a lot of what's going on in Congress and in the Biden administration. So the real fun part really comes to when we talk about the opportunities. And this is really where we kind of look, is glass half empty or half full? And for a lot of us, we choose to look at it as half full. We did a study at Amberton in the fall of 2019 to look at what we consider to be our competitive set, including Western Governors University. So I kind of deal on that a little bit. The feedback that we got from businesses as well as school districts, cities, governmental entities, they really are looking for a high degree of relevance in the skill set and the knowledge that a student has when they come out of an undergraduate degree or a graduate degree. They really want someone to be able to step through the door, step into the position, and be able to start contributing something of value right away. I heard constantly cybersecurity, high degree relevance, increasing importance if you pay attention to all the hacks and the ransomware, the malware, and everything else that's happening today. You can see why that is such an area of concern for really almost every organization that has any kind of computer system. The other thing was here, we need analytics. We need people that can get into the data and be able to interpret the data and allow us to be able to make reasoned decisions based on data as opposed to just intuition. So we heard a lot about analytics, and that's what drove our decision to try to begin offering a degree in that area. The third area that I would point out is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And again, I'm going to stay away from any political opinion that one way or the other. The demand is there. And I think regardless of how you feel about it, the demand in the business world and the demand in organizations is a higher and higher emphasis on that particular area. And if you look at major organizations, Walmart, for example, USA, a lot of major organizations actually have a C-level person in that position. So the emphasis across the board in most organizations is higher and higher in that particular area. So again, the key thing is what is the market demanding? And then it's incumbent upon higher education institutions to be able to deliver that. And that's a real challenge because you've got to break out of a lot of traditional, set in stone mindsets that you have. A lot of institutions can't move that quickly. Thank God Amberton can. The other thing is to broaden access to education. Part of that comes from cost. Can we do something in the cost arena to enable people to have access to it? The other part of it is technology. And one thing that has taught us this past year with the pandemic is that we can employ technology to really facilitate the ability to deliver educational services to the audience that has that demand for it. I love to have been a shareholder in Zoom prior to the pandemic. You talk about making more money than you can in cryptocurrency. Zoom has become almost the Z-Box word, If we're going to be online, we're going to use Zoom. So technology is beginning to play it's playing a huge role in the ability to deliver services and be able to broaden the access to educational services. I actually have a student that's located in South Korea, it's not unusual for me to have students that are employed in the Middle East. There's fewer of them now, thankfully. But, you know, geographical location is not an impediment to being able for a student to access educational services. And that's facilitated by technology. The other thing is that the advances in technology are really changing the model. They're changing the dynamic in terms of how you can deliver educational services, what's the platform. So if you stop to think about how most educational services are delivered, it's basically the same way it was delivered 3,000 years ago. You know, about the only advances, we went from chalkboards to, you know, whiteboards with markers. You know, so technology really hadn't done us much good here. But if you look at what's happening with the use of things like artificial intelligence and robotics, they're really changing the model. So instead of having a sage on a stage model that has been traditional, you're really looking at a model that looks more like gaming as far as educational services. It's interesting to me that the student will come into a classroom, a traditional classroom, and just do horrible. You know, they can't make it through that classroom. But they go home and get on an Xbox, and they know every facet of that game that you can have. Why is that? Well, it certainly isn't because the kid doesn't have the person terminology. The person doesn't have the intellectual wherewithal to handle it. It's because of the mechanism of the platform that's learning. So I think we'll see that change radically, and the role of the professor in higher education will change really from being that sage, the know-it-all, to pass on my fountain of knowledge to you, you poor dumb student, really to a model that says, you know, I'm here to facilitate and guide your learning process, and I'll use technology tools to kind of facilitate that. I'm watching our time. A couple of other things just to mention that are happening that are really key opportunities. We're shifting from a mindset that I go to college for 4 years, I get my degree, I go to work, and that's it. We're shifting to a model that says I've got to reskill constantly throughout my life. You know, that I've got to engage in educational learning processes. And therefore, what we're seeing is the advent of what's called the portfolio of learning. And there are actually a number of online vendors where you can build your portfolio, not only of your formal education, but also your informal education and learning, credentials, licenses, certificates go into that portfolio. And when I apply for a job, I give HR access to that portfolio to say, here are my qualifications. This is what makes me uniquely qualified. And so I think you really want to see a shift in this, oh, I've got a master's degree. Oh, I've got a master's degree, therefore I'm qualified. I think what you'll see is, this is my portfolio. I have been a lifelong learner, and here's the track record to show that I've been doing that. The other thing I think is partnerships. And what we're seeing in Amherst is that we've been very proactive in approaching the community colleges in this area and building a partnership so that a student who goes through Dallas College, or Colin College, or Barrow, or Tarrant County, when they finish their associate's degree, we have a defined pathway for that student to come into Amherst to finish up their bachelor's degree. So that you know, the process is very simple, the application is very simple. They simply roll over from what they've been doing at the community college level into our system, and are able then to get a bachelor's degree in a very expeditious and inexpensive way. So we're seeing a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of partnerships between universities and businesses, again, trying to make the delivery of education, both the process and the content, much more relevant and useful as far as business is concerned. So kind of a quick snapshot of who we are as far as Amherst is concerned, and kind of where we see the challenges and opportunities coming in terms of the whole secondary higher education marketplace. I'll be happy to try to entertain any comments. I know we're pretty short on time, so whatever you like, I'll try to answer. Yes, sir.
Do you have any computer courses or anything?
We have a few at the undergraduate level, a couple of them. We, at one point in time, had degrees in that area, and for whatever reason, the decision was made to not continue to pursue that. If I had my way, I would hire those resources and we would stand up a degree, actually multiple degrees in that area, as quick as we could.
Well, the railroad won't take any IT people that are Cisco certified. All their switches, everything they have on the railroad.
Yep.
And their security, everything.
Yeah, you bet.
You have to have Cisco.
Yeah, if I had the resources available, I would stand up a cybersecurity degree first. That would be the first one. That's, I think, where the most value is.
That's the same system, it changes. They have a little thing, and password changes every 2 seconds, 4 seconds, and it's fired in real quick.
Well, they better not try to access that Excel sheet where I keep all my. Be really secure.
I can't type that fast. So
I can't either. Other questions?
We have some announcements and closing comments. The meeting next week will be here at the Las Colinas Country Club and bring a prospective member. And then we will have a board meeting today following, and our next one will be August the 5th. So be sure and get that on your calendar. July the 17th is our district Rotary Roundtable, and I think John wanted to add a couple comments to that. Like everyone come.
No, I really didn't want to say anything about roundtable except this club. Roundtable is the third Saturday of every month, except for March and December. This club is sponsoring the first one for this Rotary year.
Yes.
Linda will be there making a short presentation. It's at the MacArthur Boulevard Baptist Church if anybody wants to go. But that was not my announcement. Some of you may know that this club has an A-team. The A-team members are Patty with a Y, Laura Manning, and Kathy. And those three ladies, 2 Tuesdays ago, sat down here in front of the ballroom, welcomed 104 Rotarians to a banquet. They made the whole banquet. I want to personally thank them.
Thank you, John. And the location is the MacArthur Boulevard Baptist Church, and that's at 8001 Mustang Drive here in Irving. So be sure to come if you have the opportunity. And I will be bringing the freshmen, so if you have a choice, let me know. We'll try to accommodate. Does anyone else have an announcement that is for the good of the cause and beneficial to all? Okay, we're gonna move forward with the four-way test and our director of youth service, Val, will be reading that.
We're doing the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First.
Is it true?
Second.
Is it fair?
Third.
Will it be
Fourth.
Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
Thank you to everyone that has attended, and board members, please stay around for a few minutes.